A good rule for the writing of science fiction. I bought the Back to the Future trilogy on Blu-ray not so long ago. For me, Back to the Future was like The Interminable, The Sound of Music. I had seen the entire thing, but just not in any particular order. And given the plot complexities inherent in time travel fiction, complexities that the films themselves poke fun at, the trilogy does not make huge sense unless watched in order in quick succession. The films are still highly entertaining if one only catches bits and pieces of them on the television over Christmastide, but they are as sound and fury, resembling nothing. 2015, the year that Dr. Emmett L. Brown and Marty McFly visit in Back to the Future Part 2 is upon us, and the film got a number of predictions right. We have flat-panelled, voice-activated smart TVs for one thing. I was in a McDonald's in Luton, England at New Year's and was confronted with a vending machine not at all unlike the one that Marty McFly uses in the 80s themed fast food restaurant of 2015. I have just concluded reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. In the Kindle edition that I have, there is a review by Walter Scott appended to it. The following is an excerpt from his review. We grant the extraordinary postulates which the author demands as the foundation of his narrative only on condition of his deducing the consequences with logical precision. Frankenstein is often called the first sci-fi novel. We can suspend our disbelief as regards an 18th century, 20-something-year-old pupil of Ingolstadt University creating life in a laboratory. But this is where our willing suspension of disbelief comes to an end. The career of Victor Frankenstein's monster must be realistic and plausible even if his creation be not. In my view, Shelley accomplishes this. Likewise, as regards Back to the Future, the idea that a DeLorean can travel through time is absurd, but we are willing to suspend our disbelief concerning this because we paid money at the box office to see a film with this exact premise. The idea of a time-traveling luxury car is where the popcorn-munching audience declares a ne plus ultra as regards its suspension of disbelief. What our heroes, McFly and Brown, do with a time-traveling car must be plausible. In my view, it is. Not once did I retreat into a skepticism that spoiled the illusion that the motion picture tried to create. It amazes me that Walter Scott came up with the above-quoted rule, a rule that must be borne in mind by the sci-fi writers of today, in 1818, before science fiction was even defined as a genre. What we learned today. Ne plus ultra is Latin for no more beyond. In this context, the audience will not suspend their disbelief any more beyond the idea of a time-traveling car.